Today, we're going to do an experiment. I've got 3 of the most popular bike categories, starting with this lightweight cross-country hardtail with about 120 millimeters of travel and weighing in at a scant 22 pounds. Moving up, you've got your trail bike that most of you watching this video probably ride. So trail bikes usually have about 4 to 5 inches of travel and typically weigh from 26 to around 30 pounds. And then of course you've got your big enduro bike. So these have 6 inches of travel or more, a super slack head tube angle, and weigh onwards of 31 pounds. And it's common knowledge that a do-it-all trail bike is the weapon of choice for most blue-rated trails. But for this video, I'm going to ride an intermediate trail back-to-back on a cross-country hardtail and the enduro bike to see whether it's more fun to be underbiked or overbiked. So here we go. You may have heard the term underbiked, and the general idea is that you have a bike that's undergunned for the trails that you're riding. A lot of people choose to do this purposely because it makes trails more challenging, and you don't need to be going really fast to push a bike to its limits. On the flip side, being overbiked means having more suspension, geometry, and tires than what's required for the trail. And many argue this dumbs down the trail, making it too easy, and can give the rider a false sense of security as the bike can mask their skill deficiencies. Now for this ride, we're going to need to find a nice blue trail for this test.
Some downhill.
So did you ride Cinderella and
yeah, exactly.
Joaquin Miller and all those trails in Oakland?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a wonderful idea, Greg. Cinderella Trail is the perfect place for this test because it's a fun intermediate trail, but not too crazy, which is the epitome of a blue trail. It's high speed when there's no hikers. It has lots of braking bumps with just enough features to keep it interesting. For this test, I rode 2 loops each on the Viathon M1 hardtail and the Santa Cruz Mega Tower. So let's start with the climbing portion of the loop.
I can't remember riding a bike this light in a really long time. This is the perfect bike for getting out of shelter-in-place shape. But I have to say, this is making it pretty easy.
No surprise, the Viathon at almost 10 pounds lighter than the Mega Tower was an absolute rocket on the climbs. And in fact, it reminded me of the first time I pedaled an e-bike. And like most of you, I'm in shelter-in-place fitness right now, and pedaling this bike on the climbs made it almost enjoyable. Jumping on the enduro bike felt as if the e-brake was engaged. It's pretty shocking just how much 10 pounds of bike weight felt on this short climb. It also makes me want to consider losing 10 pounds of body weight starting tomorrow. Obviously, I made it up just fine, but there's no doubt I could have easily pedaled way more miles on the hardtail with much less fatigue.
Pretty safe to say, if you're a slow climber on this bike, I think you're just a slow climber, like me.
This means more laps on the downhill, which is a good thing, right? Well, let's find out.
Whoa, these brakes. Woo.
Now the first descent on the hardtail rattled my fillings. I found myself riding tense because there were parts of the ride where I felt out of control. And my survival instincts forced me to grip the bars harder and brake more often, which is obviously not good technique. The second run was much better because I knew what to expect in terms of feedback, and I was much more relaxed as it started to get really fun. The best way I can describe the feeling of being underbiked was that it gave me a new appreciation for this trail because the overall experience was amplified. It's like listening to your favorite song on a really good pair of headphones for the first time. Really loud. I found myself using more body English to absorb the impact as I was feeling a lot of feedback through my hands and feet. However, being underbiked did change my riding style though, as I found myself being more reactive to situations, especially when hitting something like these really big braking bumps. Now, I've ridden the Mega Tower on this trail plenty of times, and after riding it back to back with a hardtail, yes, it does make the trail easy. However, for me, it removes a mental blocker because knowing I'm overbiked means there's nothing on the trail that this bike isn't going to be able to handle. So the bike gets out of the way and I'm able to focus on technique like braking late, cornering, and trying new lines. However, where I didn't like being overbiked was on those sections that required me to get out of the saddle and start sprinting. It takes a lot of energy with seemingly little reward, and frankly, you start to wonder if it's even worth it. So what did I learn and what bike did I enjoy the most on the trail? Well, First of all, I learned that a trail bike is still the best tool for this trail. Both bikes I rode were extremely fun, but in extremely different ways. The hardtails made the climbs to the descents easier, if not enjoyable. I consider doing more laps on that bike, no question, but would I actually want to? Probably not. Don't get me wrong, descending on the cross-country hardtail was fun, but the high-frequency chatter really started to beat me up. And for this old man, I much preferred the comfort and stability of being overbiked on this trail. If there were a lot more climbing and pedally sections and less braking bumps, I'd probably swing the decision closer towards the hardtail. Now obviously this is far from scientific, and one critical consideration we haven't factored in is who you're riding with. If I were overbiked and rode with my buddies on hardtails and trail bikes, I'm going to exert a lot more energy keeping up with them on the climbs. And depending on what the downhills look like, there may be no discernible advantage for me to make up for it. So choosing the right bike for the group you're riding with is a very important consideration. But for solo rides, as long as you can live with the trade-offs of a big bike, which is mostly on the climbs anyway, and if it makes your descents more comfortable and fun, well, who's to say that's not the right choice for you? So which one are you, an overbiker or underbiker? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you enjoyed this video, and please continue to stay safe out there. We'll see each other again soon, but in the meantime, remember, those trails aren't getting easier, you get better. We'll see you on the next one.